Hi, this is Hart, and I'm going to take you through the video really quickly because I take forever to make a card. So I am making a birthday card for my daughter who's turning 22, and she loves Vegas, so her gift is going to be kind of hidden on the card in the scratch-off. I'm showing you quickly which supplies that I'm using in the process of making this card. Sometimes I grab more supplies than I plan on using, but in this particular case, I think I ended up using all the supplies I grabbed. And so I have a vintage dictionary page that says birthday, a camera because she is absolutely photogenic, 2 cards that are 22. There's a little double entendre there because she loves to dance and it says tutu in my head. Some scratch-offs, some stickers. The note tabs that you see over on the right are because she's in college, and so I like to have little pieces that take a piece of who the person is and what's going on for the card to pull those together. So I'm deciding here in this part of the video which way I'm going to do the layout of the book page, and these vintage book pages I absolutely love. I'm going to make a little pocket by folding in the sides of that book page and the bottom, trying to make sure that I don't lose the word birthday in the mix of decorating it. Then I cut off the corners to make sure that it has uninhibited folding. I don't like how perfect these cards are, and so a piece of me is I like things to be distressed a little bit. So I'm taking the red and the black card and sanding it off. Thankfully you don't have to listen to that because the sound of sanding drives me absolutely nuts. But as I sand it off, I sand the front and the back because you're going to be able to pull these cards out, and when you stick a sticker to the super shiny part, it doesn't always stick well. So my other intent on sanding it, besides just making it look better visually to me, is to make sure that anything I add to these cards sticks really well. I'm drying it, or I'm washing it off with a baby wipe. And this allows me to make sure that there's no additional residue that reduces the stickiness of the sticker. You can see there that I have a little striped frame. I fuss with that a little bit later. The scissors, and I'm just working on a clear plastic board. And you're going to see me fussy with this striped frame, trying to figure out how to add it on, just because I like the add of the color with the gold. I've left in all of my bits in this video, which is why I had to speed it up for you, to show you in my design process how much I actually fuss with it. I don't work on a particular layout anytime I make a card. I create the layout different each time. And I'm realizing here that I really like the idea of putting all 3 of these items in the pocket. So this little card that I'm adding the stickers to say things like smart, mischievous, and adventurous, and I'll tell you a quick little story. So I say mischievous because on April Fool's Day one year, she got me really good, and for some reason that one just has burned in my memory, where she and her 2 siblings that were still living in the house, one was older than her, one younger, took out all the pots and pans and everything out of the drawers and everything out of the cabinets, the dishes, and hid them one time. And when she hid them, it was a shock to wake up that morning and not realize it was April Fool's Day. I don't know how I could fall for that, given how many tricks we've played on each other over the years. But when she did that, we were so freaked out. Who would come in and rob the place and steal just the pots and pans? We ended up calling the police, and when we called the police, a police officer woman shows up, and she got a good laugh out of it. And at first I thought it was my son who had done that, and it ended up being her. And so some other words I put on there are intense and driven, and some other words that truly capture her character. She's doing very well in school and is about to complete it, so that's why the other words hopefully are a little bit inspirational and might actually be a little bookmark for her. Not thinking these two cards are going to be the bookmark, but the two cards are what's going to hide the gift. Now that I've settled on where I'm finally going to put that frame and added the stickers, I'm thinking about where I'm going to put the little cupcake, which I added the cupcake because back in the day she used to love baking, and she was so precise, and her baking goods were pretty good. I like the purple with, I couldn't find a yellow birthday cap in my stash, but her favorite colors when she was growing up started out being yellow, ended up being purple, and that's why that was chosen. I'm trying to figure out at this point, what do I want to do with this paper clip? Because I'm loving this paper clip I made. It goes with the colors on the page. And again, it might be something she uses with school again, so it's an item that she may be able to repurchase. Can't say words, but repurpose if she so chooses. So I'm fussing with the birthday caps, adding it to the front of the camera because I felt like the front of that card was just a little bit blank. Now, instead of working straight on the pre-folded card that I made, I use a 1/4 inch smaller width and height as my card face on top of the card base. That's folded cardstock. And the reason I do that is I like to have that little frame around whatever card I'm creating. And in case she chooses to keep the cards, I prefer to use the glue stick because it lasts longer. And that's also why I chose to do this on a clipboard, because then I can just clean it up with my baby wipe pretty quickly and easily when the glue gets on the clipboard. I don't have my bone folder at hand, so I'm just using a spoon, which was closer, as my burnishing tool, and finally decide where I want to put that paper clip. The string on the paper clip wasn't making me happy. I didn't really like the gold thread that was inside of it as well, so I was trying to get that gold thread off and actually did, so it's just a little teeny white string that's attached to the paper clip. I go around the edges of the cupcake with gold to have it tie in with going around the edges of the book page I made as a pocket with the gold ink. And at this point I'm outlining the word birthday. And I can't just doodle one thing, so I wanted to add a little shadow to the cupcake down at the bottom there. So I'm seeing that my frame is just a little bit too tall for the card base, and so I'm trying to figure out, should I use it on the inside of the card, because I liked that frame, but I still know in the back of my head that I liked it on the top. And so when I flip it over getting ready to glue it on the inside of the card, I say, I have a perfect little line. I don't want to pull out the cutter, and that perfect little line there is going to allow me to cut it just above the pocket that I made down at the bottom of the page. I'm testing it to make sure it's going to fit. And then grabbing just a piece of scrap to put the glue on, because I knew that one was going to be messy. burnishing again with a spoon. And I'm starting to like how this card is coming together. So now I'm going to work on her gift, which is a weekend in Vegas. And what I've done is picked out one of my sticker sheets that has Vegas on it. I'm trying to find something that fits well underneath my peel and stick scratch offs. You can make these yourself, but I found that it was cheaper for me to buy them than it was to make them. Not to mention it took less time. So that Vegas fits perfectly underneath one of those scratch offs, and then I put a couple of dice there. And these are just peel and stick scratch offs. I bought them off eBay years ago when I was preparing for another event that was a one person win something event, and these are the scratch offs I have left over. Trying to find another thing that fits underneath and decide to go long ways so both cards aren't identical. And that's just the game of 21 with an ace and a king. And if she scratches off all three of them, she'll see the word Vegas and that one, and the other two will give her a hint. So in the process of her scratching them off, it'll be kind of a cute experience and an interactive card. I'm going around the edges of the cards with that same gold ink, and that gold ink is again the one I used on the book page and the little cupcake. That way the card feels cohesive. Putting them into the pockets and doing a little doodling around the card with the camera on it, and I'm just doodling around the hats to make them stand out a little bit and give it a few extra touches with some words to add personal touch from me on some other stuff that seemed to be missing from the list. And I could make a really long list of wonderful aspects of each of the kids, so this was kind of fun to create this little what I'll call a bookmark, but it's a 2x3 card, the same that we use as ATC trading cards. Now that I'm almost done with this little bookmark, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for watching, and I appreciate those of you who add your comments and little tidbits. But if you do receive a card from me, know that I spent a lot of time making sure that the items mean something to me and you, and they're usually of fond memories as well as just the cutesy little birthday card aspect. I'm corner rounding the top here because I think it matches better with the top of the frame, and so when I add this little gold dotted corner from my scrap pile to give it a little finished look, I end up corner rounding that too after I burnish the glue on. I embellish with a little pen mark at the bottom to give it shading. And once I put everything in, I realize, yep, this is done. So all I do, I add that last little word underneath the camera, and it says adventurous because she is quite adventurous, and put the card face onto the card back. This is a busy little card, but hopefully she's able to use many of the items that are in this card if she chooses not to keep it. And this again is just me gluing the card face that I just decorated on my scrap paper. I apply it to the card base. I did double check to make sure I didn't apply it upside down because I have done that before. Everything's being burnished down. It's just about done. And here in a second, I will show you the finished product. Thank you.